There are so many fantastic quotes in this movie. And there's so much cursing. If we said the word is it possible?
See you next Tuesday.
Okay, see you next Tuesday. Okay, yeah, let's do that. On the Scene with Dush
and Goose.
A book club, but for movies. Final episode. Oh, guys, welcome back to another episode of On the Scene with Dush
and Goose.
So great to have you guys here. This is gonna be a fun one.
Yeah,
Tough Guy Productions. We're going to be discussing The Gentleman. I love this movie. I really, really enjoyed it, and I'm glad this was one of our one of the last picks.
Yeah.
When we were figuring out what to do in our first season. Also, this is going to be our last episode of the season. So yay! Look at us! But we'll be coming back soon to a screen near you. It's a 2019 film and 7.8 rating. I would definitely have given it a higher rating. I think I would have gone with like an 8.3, 8.5.
Oh,
I know that's high.
I don't think it's
for this the theme of the movie, not the theme, the storyline of the movie. I also really love Guy Ritchie films. I think he's a brilliant director.
But this is our second Guy Ritchie entry
in this season.
In this season.
In this season, isn't it? Yeah.
So clearly we are fans.
We enjoy his body of work very much.
Hi Guy. Hi Madonna.
Hi Guy. Hi.
What a guy.
What a guy. So the stars of this movie are, of course, Matthew McConaughey, Charlie Hunnam, eye candy for days. He's just everything about him from the time of Sons of Anarchy. Wow. Even when he was at King Arthur, which is also a Guy Ritchie directed film. Yeah. Hugh Grant. I feel like I hadn't seen Hugh in anything of this genre before, right? I feel like he did a lot of rom-coms before, right? This was also a really nice deviation from the norm. And Michelle Dockery from the famous Downton Abbey, which is a fantastic series. I believe it's a movie that's come out this year, 2022.
Have you watched it?
The final, not yet, not this one. I watched the other, the first movie that came out. I haven't watched this one yet. So let's get into it. Do you want to walk us through like just a brief synopsis of the plot of this movie?
Movie starts off with Hugh Grant's character meeting your filet mignon, Charlie Hunnam.
Even the name
Fletcher
Raymond is a very beautiful name.
Yeah,
I really love it.
It is.
I love it.
And Waymond.
See the Everything Everywhere episode for this.
Okay. Yeah, so and of course he's trying to sell him a story.
Yes.
Which he's hoping that will earn him some loot.
That script.
You know, so
do you remember the name of that script? Bush.
Oh, it was just called Bush.
Yeah, because it's a story about Bush. This movie.
Yeah, Bush being weed.
So
that's how the story starts out. So Fletcher is in Raymond's house.
Beautiful house.
Yeah, beautiful.
Gorgeous house. Yeah.
And I remember one of the first things that struck me about that scene was Raymond's sweater. I really loved it.
His fashion sense.
Yeah, his fashion sense.
Can I give you a fun fact as we go along?
Yeah.
For Raymond's clothing, Guy Ritchie
is one who picked you out.
Yes, and they went around shopping for these clothes. He's very big on and you can tell that a lot in this movie.
Yeah.
They're like, zooming.
It was dope, Yeah, so basically he's trying to sell him a script.
Yes.
Which has incriminating evidence.
Yes.
Or details of their... Are you done?
Yes. Sorry, I'm with you.
Are you done?
I'm with you.
Are you done? Okay. Yeah, so basically he has a movie script.
Yeah.
But the script has incriminating evidence to, of course, Matthew McConaughey. Hey, please. Yeah.
Mickey Peterson.
Yeah, Mickey Peterson. And of course his whole crew.
Yes. Yes.
So it's like a movie within a movie, kind of.
Actually, it is, isn't it? Yes.
It is. So
Mickey Pearson. Sorry, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Not Peterson. Pearson.
Fletcher who is a reporter. Yeah, he's trying to get his big.
Was he a reporter or he was
He's a reporter.
a private investigator for the newspapers? One of the two, yeah. I think he might have been a PI.
Same. He can actually be both because
Yeah.
he collects the information and
then he was also writing the script.
Yeah.
Right.
So of course now he's trying to extort Mickey Pearson and his crew.
Yes.
Now through Raymond,
who's his right-hand man. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think that's where things kick off. And the story is a narration, of course, which I love again, and I'm sure you also really appreciate.
Yes, I do.
I love narrations. So the narration is, of course, by Fletcher and Hugh Grant, who copiously uses the word.
See you next Tuesday.
Yeah.
If you don't know that, if you don't get it, forget about it.
Yeah. And that's, I think that's
tent.
where the movie and the story starts.
That's true.
As he's narrating now to Raymond how he intends to earn $20 million.
$20 million.
And he was being very tricky. Yeah,
Yes.
20 million pounds from him. Because he was saying like, oh, I could have sold this script for 150,000 to the Daily Times. Is it called the Daily Times? Whatever.
The paper.
Yeah. But I'm bringing it to you.
He has an in for Mickey.
Yeah.
Yes, because Mickey snubbed him.
So yeah, I think that's just the general. That's the synopsis of the movie. But of course, there are more details, which I'll allow you to guide us into.
We can start. We dive right in.
Yeah.
So of course the movie begins.
This movie, you haven't given us fun facts. Give us fun facts first.
Oh, there are quite a number, right? Would you like me to just like jump into the fun facts a bit? So you've mentioned that Hugh Grant's character, who was Fletcher in the film, was narrating. So what he'd done, he'd created a cheat sheet for himself.
Yeah.
And the night before the filming of this movie, his car was broken into, and the script and the sheets were both stolen from his car.
Yeah.
So he was just diving in.
And remember, he did all his work in 5 days.
The dialogue that he had with Raymond, that was all done in 5 days. It was 40 pages of dialogue.
Yeah.
And I think once you watch the movie and you see the scenes where they're talking at Raymond's house, you I think really get to understand the brilliance of just that dialogue.
Yeah.
It was the language that they used. Of course, they're British. Mickey Pearson actually is American who'd moved to England, right, for school, and then went on from there. The language is flowery. It's beautiful. It's really well written. The dialogue was really well done, and then there's a lot of Fletcher flirts a lot with Raymond, and I don't blame you because.
But there is Fletcher gay in that.
I think he might have been. Yeah. I think he was.
They alluded to it, but they didn't really.
They didn't really say it. Yeah. Like, he was flirting a lot with Raymond. There's a point where he even touched his thigh. Like, he was really flirting. So it starts off with him just giving a rundown of why he has information. Yeah. And the reason he does is because I think it was common knowledge what Mickey Pearson did, the business that he was in, which was the business of Bush. But at this point, Mickey was trying to leave the game. He wanted to go legit. And so he wanted to sell his entire empire. And he'd found a buyer. So he's trying to sell it to Matthew, and he wants to sell it for a whopping £400 million. He's built like a fantastic empire. The brilliant way with which he has created it also, it's nondescript because it's underground. He's made relationships with the nobles, so he's been able to use their farms to, build his labs, so to speak, or his farms under their grounds. He also, of course, has a distribution network, and it all started with him selling bush when he was in uni, right? And he's made a name for himself. I think he started off ruthless, but I kind of just, he had honed that in. Also because he'd met his gorgeous wife, played by Michelle Dockery.
The Cockney Cleopatra.
That's how Fletcher describes her. Fletcher really, this language was beautiful. The minute when she stepped out of her car, when she got to her garage, her heels.
The red bottoms.
Let me tell you, first of all.
6-inch and the
6-inch heels. I don't think you can walk in them. Like, they're like... wow. It was a showcase of just the sexy, business-minded suave woman that she was. Fun fact, her garage was called THC Wheels. Because what's that key ingredient in bush?
yeah.
THC. So
There's a very big part we've missed out on.
what have we jumped?
When it at the beginning, there's someone who's shot.
Oh, this is not the first. Actually,
This was actually
how
one of
could
the
I
first
possibly
scenes. It was one of the first
open
scenes.
scene?
Yeah.
Let's just start there.
Yeah.
Open scene, even before we get to Fletcher.
Yeah.
Open scene, you see Mickey walking into a bar, asking for a beer and a pickled egg. I don't know what combination that is.
Yeah.
Having a seat, then calling, of course, his wife. It's their anniversary, trying to make plans for anniversary dinner, and then bang, bang. In the background, there's a narration from Mickey Pearson, and this is what he says. If you wish to be the king of the jungle, it's not enough to act like a king. You must be the king. And there can be no doubt, because doubt causes chaos and one's own demise. That was a beautiful opening.
And do you know
line.
who came up with that?
Who came up with it?
His wife.
She says it to
His
him at
wife
some
is the one
point.
who told him that. That's why the beginning of the movie is the end.
Yes.
And if you notice, she's the one who was telling him that about
Right.
all this shit that was,
What was
going,
going
on, and told him, yeah, you have to.
Yeah, you can't just act like the king. You have to be the king.
You have to be the king. Yeah. Again, shows that female touch,
Yes.
like when it's right,
Yes.
it can take you
Yes.
far.
I really loved her character.
I loved it.
Even the parts that she played in it.
And I love their love also.
their love.
I love their love,
Yeah. Sometimes with gangsters, you tend to see that their love is a bit toxic, quote unquote,
Yeah.
with their lovers or their
Yeah.
brides. But with them, it seemed like a fortified love. Yeah? Cockneyed Cleopatra. Cockneyed Cleopatra. So we've set the beginning. We've talked about now Fletcher. And of course, Fletcher is giving the story and how he's trying to sell it to Matthew.
Yeah.
But how Mickey's trying to sell the plantation, so to speak.
Yeah.
I don't use the word plantation. It's a bunch of white
Slavery.
men. He's trying to sell his empire
Massa.
to let's not massa it, to Matthew, but something goes down in the course of that film. So we've been introduced to Matthew at this point, but we're also introduced to a young man called Dry Eye. Dry Eye, I believe were they Chinese?
Yeah, the Chinese.
Right, they were Chinese. They were a Chinese family headed by a man called Lord George and his nephew, Dry Eye. Dry Eye had ambitions. At that point, I think he was just selling car parts to THC Wheels, but he had ambitions of starting his
He
own.
wasn't selling car parts to THC Wheels.
'Cause
That was
remember-
a sweetener.
No, but let me ask
He
you.
wasn't selling. They're in the Chinese mafia. They were into poppy. They're into many other things.
Right.
They're in the mafia.
His own his own business was not inclusive of the car parts that he was selling to THC.
He wasn't selling it them. He actually gave
He
it
gave
to
them to
her
her.
just as a sweetener so that he can meet
Mickey.
Mickey and to
Pitch-
have Mickey.
pitch
Yeah,
the idea.
yeah.
But let me ask, at that point when he had gone to see, I'm trying to remember the name of Mickey's wife. The gentleman. Rosalind.
Oh yes.
So when he'd first gotten, when Dry Eye went with the consignment to THC Vales,
Yeah.
she had asked him how much. And then he said, nothing.
Yeah.
If you give me a chance to meet your husband, which he said,
Yeah.
ha ha ha. But then eventually she was like, yeah, I'll see if he agrees and make it happen.
Yeah.
So I believe this
If
is
you see with their trade, like with a lot of what those guys do is bring in illegal things.
Yes.
People was part
Yes,
of
I
them.
remember. I
Because you
remember
see
one
there
of
was a
the
shipment
containers.
of people.
Yes.
There's a shipment of parts. There's electronics. There's so it's a lot of things. It's not just Nini. Yeah. And I don't think they really had any dealings with THC.
At all.
It was just in that moment he wanted a favor from her, and that's why he gave her the
parts,
container
because
of
he knew
parts
what-
because it
that
was
she
relevant to her, and he knew the way to his
A man is through his woman, not through his stomach.
and especially this man who really loved and
Adores.
believed in his woman.
He really adored her. So actually, I also fun fact, not a fun fact, something I noted about the fashion.
Yeah.
Do you remember the trench that Dry Eye was wearing when he went to check his?
Wait, was it a trench?
It was a trench. That coat was a trench. It was like. I remember
the
looking at
one
it
with the
and thinking,
Nini. They're called bashkas. Bashka somethings. I was looking at, he had like 3 or 4 of them.
Yes.
And those things were supreme.
They
I loved his style.
Yes,
Him
I did.
and Mickey Pearson.
Yes, Mickey, I also really liked
I loved their style.
Yeah.
I looked at his coats and I was just like, what is this?
Yes. Even the dinner coat that Mickey was wearing during that dinner with the Lord. Remember when when they were having that, the buns with Matthew, there was a coat he was wearing that looked very sartorial. Hi guys. You can dress us for the next season, by the way. So the fashion. Oh, chef's kiss.
Yeah.
Chef's kiss. So yes, Dry Eye. Yeah. And Dry Eye gets the meeting that he wants. And of course, Mickey, being a gangster, actually, there's the made-up scene that Fletcher had made up. Because remember, Fletcher is narrating, and there was the real scene.
Yeah.
Let me tell you that the made-up scene. There's a phrase that Mickey said there. He said, "There's only one rule in this fucking jungle. When the lion's hungry, he eats."
Yeah. And then he shot him.
Yes.
And that was dope. That was a dope scene. And I like the way that they gave us 2 different scenes.
Yes. Yes. And
like we had our cake and we ate it.
Remember when they did the scene and then they rewound
the
entire thing to start again?
Yeah.
They didn't just cut and start.
Yeah.
I also really love the way they were cutting from Fletcher's narration into the scenes. I loved those transitions. It was done very smoothly and very beautifully. So of course he's told, hush, hush, go back to your little corner. No one is selling anything here.
Yeah. And first of all, even the number you came in with is too low.
I don't know whether to be offended or something. Like he was like, you're missing a few zeros. Yeah. So that was one of the scenes that I really enjoyed. Where do we go from there? After Dry Eye, now we go to the toddlers. This was Bugsy Malone's.
I think before the toddlers, there was a scene where now Matthew is being taken around the farms.
Yes, when he shows him the farms.
Because that now
one farm
connects with the toddlers.
The robbery.
Yeah.
So of course he shows him one of his underground farms and shows him now how extensive it is, how well done it is. They are botanists, they are chemists.
Yeah.
He's telling him his entire network.
Sommeliers.
Exactly, he has to try it out. So then we cut to the toddlers. I think also that was one of my best scenes of that movie.
Yeah.
It was extremely funny. The music in this movie was done by Chris Benstead, who also did Wrath of Man. And he also did Adeline. Adeline. He did Adeline. You know Adeline? Have you watched it?
Aladdin, you mean? Yes, he also
Aladdin.
did Aladdin.
He did Aladdin. The 2019 version with Will Smith, which was a movie directed, of course, by Guy Ritchie. So there's Bugsy Malone is a UK grime rapper who this was his acting debut. And, and I am in love with him.
Yeah.
And not just his music, but also his face. And actually, I love the way I'm saying that.
Did you forget his meat, his muscles?
Yes, he's also wow. So he's also
and he can fight.
Wow.
Also.
Hey, Buckets Butch. Actually, we really played that song. I feel like we need to. Can we add a review of that song here? So the toddlers go and they rob this place. The song they did there, that rap song, was actually, you know that line for Ernie? Because my red hand's fast and my left hand's sturdy. I love that line so much. It was really
I told you,
good.
their tracksuits did it for me. I don't know. You can find those things tacky, but I love them.
Yes, they were really good. And Coach
really
made sure that
love
they
them.
were all uniform. Yeah. Coach, of course, is played by the amazing Colin Farrell. Colin Farrell. Yeah. I feel like Colin had taken a break at some point, and now I feel like over the last 6 years.
Are you the one who took a break from him?
Or maybe the things I was watching, he wasn't starring in, or the things I was interested in. But then, of course, he came back into. I'm really enjoying watching him within the last few years. Yeah. He's the coach in this movie. I loved his walk. I really loved his walk in
his
the
whole
movie.
demeanor, his presence, the way he talked to people, you know, the way he, I don't know, it was really dope.
Yeah. And I also enjoyed very much how he handled his fighters.
His toddlers. Especially.
And the way, the respect with which he the respect he gave Raymond and of course Mickey
Yeah.
by going to talk to them about the robbery.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the way those toddlers were also chapping, guys. It was actually a hilarious scene all around. It was the song, it was the scene, it was meeting Coach in the chip shop.
Yeah. And there's
All of
also
it.
like before the toddlers fixed those guys, there was that exchange the toddlers had with those guys.
Yes, when
Remember
they kept on walking
like
out.
the old guys.
Yes.
They're like, huh? Are they robbing the place?
Yeah.
Then he goes,
He calls someone
one
else.
of his
Yes.
boys, like, yo,
Yes.
come see this guys. Then the toddlers are just of course they're cocky because they know they're good. They're that good.
Yes.
They were really
practicing.
fixed. Then there's also that scene where like now one of the old guys who has been fixed is talking
he
to
goes
Mickey
to talk to
Pierce.
Mickey and explain what happened, boss.
They were really good.
And he's like, they were really good, boss.
mate.
They were really good. They were really good, boss, because they were.
He was fixed. That's all he doing. Yeah.
So yes, we've met Matthew. Matthew has gotten to see part of the estate.
Yeah.
We've also understood how Mickey's network works.
Yeah.
Then we've also gotten to the point where the toddlers. We've met Dry Eye,
Yeah.
and we've gotten to the place where the toddlers have decided to do a naughty.
Yeah.
Now,
After someone tipped them off.
course, but at this
someone
point, we
being
didn't know.
naughty tipped
But
them
at this
off,
point now, it was just all three were just separate stories being told to us.
Yeah.
Now the interconnection between among those stories starts being showcased, right? Fletcher really thinks he's smart at this point. There were actually very many small stories before they all kind of came together and formed one. Because then there's also the story of the Russian kid Aslan,
Yeah.
right?
Yes. So it was actually before you go to the Russian kid, there was the story of one of Mickey Pearson's clients, one of the royals who allows him to grow on his farm.
Yes.
Asked him for a favor.
Yes.
And they told him, yo, like our daughter is a junkie, we really
Yes.
miss her.
Yes. She's been away.
She's been away, but we know like the kind of people she's hanging out with. This is the address. So of course, Raymond is one who was sent.
Yes, and he
With the
specifically
goons.
asked for Raymond.
Yeah.
He said, I want you to handle it.
Because he wanted it to be handled delicately,
Yes.
and they had a way about him. You see, even him as a guy, he never resorts to violence immediately.
Yes.
He'll try diplomacy if
He wants
and
to
then
talk
if you
first.
don't,
Listen to what I'm saying first. Sit
Yeah.
down, hush.
And I think that was a really great scene, like when he was knocking on the door. Because now, of course, Fletcher was telling the story, and Fletcher
Yes.
recreated the knock, which he actually
Actually,
did.
do you remember when it went from him knocking when he
Yeah.
did the knock, 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 and then it just...
And then it went to
I
the
loved
scene.
that.
The transitions were actually really
They were
brilliant.
really good.
Yeah. So he knocks on the door and he talks to one of the kids, one of the junkies who's with the aristocrat's daughter.
Yeah.
And of course the kid is rude and tells him to fuck off.
Yes.
And he asks like, hey, is this so-and-so here?
Is she here?
And he's like, no, there's no one like that who's here.
Yeah.
And he
Bangs the door in his face.
closes the door. And then, of course...
He steps back.
Yeah.
And he just... And then I love
someone's
the
there,
heat.
the
Adjust his
goons.
glasses. Adjust his coat. That was another coat that was a fire coat. The coat that he was wearing, it was...
Solid
The fashion, the male fashion in this movie.
Especially
Top
for
tier.
the leads. Yeah.
Yeah. Top tier. So, of course,
then, of course, now the enforcers, now knocked down the door.
Yeah.
And, of course, they found the aristocrat's daughter there with two other guys.
Yes.
Cinderella.
Yes. They were the two guys who she was hanging with. And
Yeah.
there was the new kid now, who, of course, was Aslan, who, of course, had a lot of talk back, He was really talking back.
So that, of course, that scene, that exchange in the house was a dope one. Like he was lecturing the kids, and they wondered like, who is this? And of course now they found out that he works for Mickey Pearson. And,
Remember when he was telling them to sit down and then he was just doing this, they were slowly moving
Yeah,
down with his
like
hand.
just
Yeah.
relax, chill.
I really loved his
And
character.
then I loved those two enforcers and how chill they were. Like they just assess the situation and just say, oh, you guys want to act tough. Okay, come and show your trick.
Tough guys.
I loved it. I loved their demeanor. I love how they did things, so chill. Lakini, when they needed force and brute force at
They
that,
came with it.
they came with it, So, of course, after the aristocrat's daughter was taken away by Raymond, there was Amelie, which ensued, and then Aslan fell off
Yes.
like
balcony.
a very high floor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, died on impact.
Yeah. And there were kids who were around there who were
Oh gosh.
around the car that Raymond had come in.
Yeah, they're just taking a piss at
Yeah.
the driver.
Yeah. And they were taking pictures, of course, of the dead body.
Right,
because
of course.
it's a cool thing to do nowadays. So yeah. I think that led to also another brilliant scene.
Yes,
when
yes.
Now they were chasing the kids
To try and get their phones.
To try and get the phones.
Get the footage.
Yeah. So that doesn't come out and get to the hands of the wrong people.
Yeah.
And I think I especially love the scene like when that kid went into one of the alleys and
The kid
other
was
kids.
being chased by Raymond.
Yeah.
Yes.
By other met some of his other
buddies.
friends, and and he was talking big.
His
and
friends were Shule.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like,
Friends
yeah,
were Shule.
old man,
Let
him,
her stuff.
put the phone down.
And I don't know where he got like such a big machine gun from, but
it was in his trench coat the entire time. In the trench.
Basically, that guy he was running at full speed
ahead
in a trench coat, which is flying behind.
Let me tell you, I realized also at when the minute that Aslan fell, and then they saw, because they were already downstairs, they were trying to get the daughter into the girl into the car.
Yeah.
I saw it peeking.
Oh.
It was actually there.
Oh,
I saw it peeking, yeah. Maybe just the way he was running, because he's Charlie, his body is like built for, yeah.
Anyway.
Strong upper body strength.
Special
upper body
effects.
strength. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was also a really fantastic scene.
Yeah.
And then of course now, because of all those details, you kind of see Matthew trying to use the robbery by the toddlers to his benefit to try and cheat, which we find out later, of course, cheat Mickey out of some money, right? Just try to get her. He was trying to get something low, because of course now Mickey can understand that all these things will kind of make him seem like, he's not got to hang on his business.
Yeah.
And might prevent him from getting out. And I think at this point he was tired. He'd been doing this for a long time, and he wanted to spend, I think, some more time with Rosalind. And who could blame him? He had a fantastic wife. He'd made a fantastic life. And happy wife, happy life. And all those nice things. What do you think?
About?
No, I feel like you had a cheeky look on your face. So I was wondering if you thought something different. Oh, cheeky. Sa.
Cheeky.
Flaw. So, what? So, I think that's kind of where we get to the head of the story, because now we get to understand that Matthew and Dry Eye had kind of been in cahoots, right? And was this the point where we realized that it was Dry Eye's man who had paid? Yes, it's at this point that Coach came and notified Raymond that they had even it's his toddlers, it's his boys who had robbed the nursery, the farm, and also he had the guy who had commissioned this, and turns out it was Dry Eye's right-hand man. So of course, and also in very smart Mickey fashion, Mickey didn't go to Dry Eye. He was like, I'm going to the head of this. So he went to Lord George. And I think that's also that was a brilliantly shot scene, because he was kind of showing him. He ended that scene with telling him, if I can get you in your kitchen, I can get you anywhere.
Anywhere, yeah.
And then from there, now things kind of just tumble around from there, because now Lord George confronts Dry Eye, who then turns and kills him. We also find out...
Actually, it's Lord George's right-hand man who kills Lord George.
Oh, right.
Because Dry Eye...
Right. He double-crossed his
so
uncle.
when Lord George actually told the right-hand man to kill Dry Eye...
He told him, he actually turned and killed him. Right. Yeah. And then we also have the meeting that was recorded between Matthew and Dry Eye.
At the stadium. Which stadium was it? Was it the Emirates? I think it was one of these famous football stadiums.
Yeah. It also looks like it was a real game going on, right? Or they cut clips from a real game. I think
there's something about that. There's something about that somewhere on the chats, yeah.
So then we have that, and then we have
But honestly, I didn't think... Did you think Lord George deserved...
Of course not. I don't think he did.
Yeah, like he was just chilling. He was just drinking tea, watching the races.
But you see what I've also understood in hierarchy.
Yeah.
If he had gone after Dry Eye, there would have been retaliation.
Or it should have been a war.
Right. Yeah. So at the end of the day, you fix the guy who did it in in your organization. I'm not going to do that for you. But I'm gonna show you that if you don't fix this, I'll fix you.
Yeah.
It was a beautifully well thought out power play. Yes, it's a power move. And it's not rash. Yeah. It's not a child's play move. It's a power move.
Big boy
sana. And then of course we have the Dry Eye and Matthew meet. And what else happened at that point? And I think once we see that is when we see now Mickey now decide plan. What's the game plan now? Because now the information has come back to him of what's going on. So at this point now, Dry is feeling like, he's got it. He's going to take over everything. And I think he even decided to screw over. He decided to screw over
Matthew.
Yeah,
he pulled a power play on Matthew.
Exactly. Yeah. And he was like, I'm going to take it all. Yeah. Now, since Lord George is out of the picture, I can do whatever I want to do. Yeah. So he decides to go after Rosalind. And that was also another very beautiful scene for me. It was beautiful because of, I think it also really showed me the love between Rosalind and... I think we already knew that even before. Not just love, but respect. Like there's respect and honor in their relationship and care and all those beautiful, nice things that I love. So, of course, now Dry Eye tries to, he's trying to defile. He's just trying to defile Rosalind. There was also that zooming into his shoes. Did you notice? Which was intentional. Like they zoomed into his shoes in that scene because of the fashion. I think it was Gucci or some high-end brand. Yeah. And then that's exactly right when Mickey walks in. And then I remember she turned and just said, "Hello, love." Did she say, "Hey, babe"? Hello, love. She said, "Hey, babe," and then he said, "Hello, love." Yeah. And then he shot him.
Basically, you have skipped some good scenes.
You mean when she was using the paper?
Yeah. Where did Mickey come from? Do you remember Mickey?
Right. Actually,
was in a car crash.
Now, actually, we go back to... So now, okay, that's the scene.
Yeah.
But now, behind the scenes of that scene, on the scene, we see Mickey at the beginning of this movie had been shot. Yeah. So now...
He had not been shot.
Well...
Someone had been shot and their blood spattered all over him.
The scene had kind of tried to portray that he had been shot. So I think even at the beginning of the movie, before I knew the story, I kind of thought that he had died. So I thought this movie was just now the story for how he had been killed. So now, of course, now Nani thinks he's being very smart, Fletcher, because he thinks that Mickey has been killed. Yeah. He actually thought he'd been killed at this point. But, of course, right-hand man Raymond was there to circumvent that. And he was like, so who the fuck is this guy who's coming to kill you? And... that's when now, because he was on phone with Rosalind, he could tell that someone was in her office who shouldn't have been there. Yeah. And there was a bit of commotion. So, of course, they rushed to get there. They're even in an accident. But Mans left the scene of the accident and ran.
Limping. Towards the love of his life.
The love of his life. And and downed him real quick.
And I think in that scene, why I was saying you missed something was because of also how... the wife also showed strength. She was not just a damsel in distress. True. She had the paperweight.
Which, by the way, guns are illegal in the UK. Yeah, you get like 5 years. It's 5 years.
They're illegal.
Yeah, owning a gun is illegal. So I think it's 5 years, a minimum sentence of 5 years.
Can you get a license though?
That's why she was. I don't know if they can. You might be able to. Maybe just it's very hard. It's a very hard process to get a license for a gun. Because when she got the paperweight, which had been given to Mickey by Matthew, she was telling him, this is a minimum of 5 years, so I'll keep it. Okay. Right, yeah. So glad that she had it. Actually, who'd have thought that Matthew would end up kind of, quote unquote, saving her life just by,
by handing over that paperweight to her.
Right. Yeah. So the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah, and I really like that scene because of the slow motion way in the way those guys were dying, and they were testing her, and she was
because it was such a small bullet.
Yeah, they kept testing her, and she was like, "Yo, I'm going to put this bullet in between your eyes,"
and that's exactly what she did.
And I loved it.
Yeah,
and that scene is also brilliant because of the way Dry Eye gets scared now. He's like, "Okay, love, now let's talk about this."
I'm leaving. Actually,
yeah. And she held her ground. She was like still, guys, I'm not playing.
I'm not playing with you.
I really love that scene. And I love the fact that she not only encouraged the guy only with words, she also had actions to
Backup, how
Yeah,
else?
like she could support him in so many ways. I loved it. Yeah, I love it for them. Oh my god.
And I also really love the way, I love the fear in Dry Eye's eyes right before he
Yeah.
died. He looked petrified
Yeah.
and terrified, all rolled up together. I loved that look on his face. Like I really like that actor.
Yeah.
Like I really like him.
What's
Think
his
he's-
name? And he has like an English name. It's something
does.
Golding. Someone.
Yes.
Edwin Golding.
Edwin Golding.
He doesn't look
Henry.
like a Henry Golding.
Fun fact.
Yeah, but it was a waste of a jacket, man. He had some really pretty
his
dope
fashion.
jackets, man.
So actually, go check out those shoes. I think you'd really like them as
I'll
well.
check them out.
The fashion in this movie was actually was top tier fashion, and it's also something that Guy Ritchie is very keen on. He's very keen on fashion. So, and of course, now that he's kind of intercepted everything, we have him now get to the guy who thought he had everything figured out, Matthew.
Yeah.
And of course, now he's walking him through his distribution channels. And of course, it's a fish market. And there was actually a line. As they get to the end, he's now telling him the story of, so how much do you think it's worth? And now Matthew is telling him, because of all these inconveniences, especially caused by the robbery, we remove. So from 400 million, about like a clean 130. So 270 million for all the inconvenience of everything that has been caused by the robbery that he had orchestrated through Dry Eye. So
he actually cut out 270 and he was willing to pay only 130. Yeah.
So in the end, not now, as they get to the end of the fish market and they are walking into a container. Now, I love how patient Mickey was in that scene. Like you could tell that he was aggravated because he was like, my wife. Remember that when he screamed to my wife? Like other things that you could get away with, I could forgive you for. You just pay me the money, it would be okay. But my wife, you touch my wife, you're mad. So he told him, don't bother looking for your Mossad crabs. This is a fish market. They found a home. Yeah. I loved that line. Yeah. And the Mossad crabs, of course, were Matthew's security. Right? And then there's also the allusion to pound of flesh. Told him, by the time you leave this freezer, you're going to send me that 270.
If you want to leave this freezer.
If you want to.
Yeah.
No, he actually told him.
He told him if it's either you're going to freeze to death.
Or you're going to cut it, or you're going to ask my guy to cut it for you. Like you choose.
Yeah.
But you leave here having sent me my 270 million, and on top of that, for my wife, you send me my pound of flesh. And not a gram more. Not a gram less.
Yeah.
Very power placing. Yeah. Very there was a powerful scene.
There's also a small part you've missed for Aslan. Because that culminates also.
That was after, wasn't it? Because
no, it was before. Because they're when Fletcher is telling the story, they're actually assassins who come to try and kill Raymond. But this is going on because they intercept.
So they were waiting for him to leave.
You remember?
Actually, yes. So they had gone to Raymond before and had tried to kill Raymond.
So who is Aslan? I think
Aslan was a Russian oligarch's son.
Yes, exactly.
Right, who was in the freezer, who was in Raymond's freezer, dead.
And he's the one who brought all this chaos.
Actually, because it turns out a lot of it wasn't even Matthew. A lot of it, a lot of it was even the guy who was trying to kill.
There was chaos caused by Matthew and Dry Eye, which Mickey was able to take care of.
That was the robbery, and of course now trying to attack him.
But now this Aslan thing.
It also, the guy who had tried to kill him in the pub at the beginning of the movie was a Russian oligarch's guy, and also the guys who tried to kill him as he left the fish market.
Yeah.
And the only reason he was saved was because those stupid toddlers had again decided that they were going to kill.
But they're not stupid.
You think they would have killed him? They would have killed him?
No, but you remember why they were saying we're going to make this right, boss. They didn't want to kill Mickey. They wanted to save him.
No.
They didn't want to kill Mickey.
You know why, Bestie, I think so? No? I don't think so. I think they wanted to kill Mickey. Because you see, the thing is, Bestie, think about it. They didn't know that the Russians were there. They didn't know.
No, they were saying they want to make this right.
The reason they wanted to make it right was they thought that if they kill Mickey, they'd get to release their boss. They'd release their boss from the coach. Unless Mickey knew that they were going to try and protect him, they would have killed him also. Had it not been for Raymond texting him and telling him don't get in the car, he'd have been dead.
But the guys,
he wouldn't have been paying attention.
The guys who kidnapped Mickey were Russians.
Yes, but no one knew that. No one knew that they were going to be there. Had it not been for the Russians even showing up, even Raymond didn't know. So how would the toddlers have known?
But Raymond knew when
He
the
found out.
assassins came.
Yes, but
to
he
the
found
house.
out then. He found out when Mickey was getting into the car. He didn't know before. Do you remember even who
I'm
killed?
trying to remember in the plot of the story when the Russian thing came up, because it came earlier.
It came up.
Yeah.
So do you remember when they were outside?
Yeah.
Coach went and brought Fletcher again. Fletcher had already left. See, that's for his money and he'd left.
Yeah.
Coach brought Fletcher again. And now they were there. They went and got all the places where he was hiding all this information that he said he'd release it if anything happened to him, the information would be released about Mickey and all these dealings, right? He was trying to tell them that Raymond was trying to tell Fletcher that I knew all along about this. But the part that he didn't know, and that's what he was telling him, was about the Russians. That's when he found out. Coach left and killed the Russians out, like, as they were coming to kill Raymond.
Yeah.
Like, Raymond would have been dead also.
Yeah.
So that's when he texted Mickey and told him, boss, don't get in the car. And that's when Mickey knew that the guys who were driving were not his driver. And so had it not been for even Raymond texting him, even he wouldn't have known. So he wouldn't have figured out, pay attention. He'd have been on his phone. Pay attention and see, and then dark. So they would have killed him. I think they thought they were trying to make it better by, if they kill Mickey Pearson, they'd release them from, because, maybe they didn't know the arrangement that their coach had with Raymond. They thought that this was going to be an never-ending payment of debts.
Oh, okay. It's fair enough.
Yeah.
I actually need to watch that part again.
Yeah, again. Yeah. That's how I pieced it together. Yeah. And so, at the end of the day, Mickey Pearson is £270 million richer, alive, and running a thriving marijuana business in the UK with his beautiful wife, Rosalind, and his right-hand man.
There should be a sequel Raymond. To the movie?
It's going to be a miniseries, isn't there?
Yeah. That's what it was meant to be, I think, even initially.
Yeah. I think I'd enjoy that. They
decided to make it to a movie first, feel it out amongst guys, and then after that now
we can
venture off into
I hope they use the same actors.
Now it would be good to maintain the same
cast.
Yeah.
I agree with you. If it had been done the other way around, I think I would have let it go with a different cast in the movie. Yeah. But I'd struggle if now you kind of bring... Yeah. I think so. Yeah. So that's pretty much the plot.
Hopefully we get a sequel for this. Yeah, because I think it was a good movie.
It really was. I enjoyed it very much.
Yeah.
It's really well done. And then there are a few like fun tidbits I could walk us through. In the end, of course, Fletcher kind of hippered when he got away when the Russians had come to kill Raymond, but they got him in the end trying to sell the script for the script of the events so far. He was trying to sell it as a script to different movie execs. In the first place where he goes to pitch, in the background you can see the poster for A Man from U.N.C.L.E., which is also a Guy Ritchie film.
Movie, yeah. Which actually didn't do so well.
It didn't.
But it started picking up later on. Now is when it's getting like
traction.
A bit of traction. Yeah, but when it came out, it was a flop.
Really?
Yeah, and it's a good movie.
It's a good movie. I have. And of course, Henry Cavill.
And the other guy, what's his name? Arman something. Arman Hammer. Armie Hammer.
Yeah. Another fun fact: Kate Beckinsale was to play Rosalind. I think she'd have been glorious. I love her English accent. I think she's beautiful. But
Beckinsale is this chick who did what's this?
What are these vampire movies?
Yeah.
Underworld.
Nah.
No?
No. I don't see it.
I think she's gorgeous.
She's gorgeous, but
and I love her
movie
English
didn't
accent.
want gorgeous. This movie wanted gritty.
She can also be
and witty and like I don't know. I don't see it
in her.
Yeah.
Imagine she has it.
I think Rosalind was perfect. What's her real
Michelle
name?
Dockery.
Michelle Dockery.
Michelle Dockery did a great job
for that scene.
I think
for this movie rather.
Yeah. I think she was. I agree she was. But I also think Kate Beckinsale would have been a fantastic choice.
Okay. Maybe I need to watch more of her stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I just don't see it. Like off the bat, I don't see it.
And I agree with you. The sternness that Michelle Dockery carries even in Downton Abbey. I understand. She was fantastic.
Married, right?
Yes.
Was she married?
Yes.
Yeah. I liked her
She was
role.
really good.
She was brilliant. And then from her to go from that classical time, Nini,
now to something like this. Hello, love.
Hello,
babe. Hey, babe.
Hey, babe.
Yeah.
I loved it.
The cemetery that Lord George's funeral was in was the same one for Lord Blackwood.
Oh.
Yes, where Lord Blackwood's burial was, where he quote unquote resurrected at in Sherlock Holmes 1.
Oh.
In this season, we've also discussed A Game of Shadows. So definitely check that out if you haven't yet.
There's also a pub somewhere.
Yes.
That
it's
belongs
called,
to him and Beckham.
Yes, it's called
Also a football.
Let of the Land is the pub where that's actually where Mickey was having his beer and his pickled egg.
Yeah.
And Ritchie, which is seen outside the pub, is a brewing company owned by Guy Ritchie as well. We also have the grill at Raymond's house. Also,
What was that
even
grill?
his house, just
Aye.
everything about his house, his sense of fashion. That grill was made and designed by Guy Ritchie. Yes.
Aye.
Warms your feet and makes your wagyu. Hey, wagyu.
Hi, Wagio. Wagio ameficha kwa hizi mics.
Sana.
Yeah.
And I think one last thing I'd like to add is the fact that there was no table reading. Usually with movies and series, they have a table reading where you just come in your home clothes and you read the script, go through it, understand clothes, get to understand your roles, get a feel of it before you start. For this one, they did a full dress rehearsal and just went through the entire movie to get a feel of it, like really in it.
Yeah. And then he changed things on the fly.
Yes.
That were not making sense.
Yes. Yes, he did.
Yeah.
It's there are a few quotes as well we could go through.
Yeah.
There's Rosalind once said, "There's fuckery afoot."
Yeah. That was brilliant, huh?
I found that line so funny. I really loved her accent. It's Cockney. That's right. Yes, Cockney. Yeah.
Do you see Kate Beckinsale reproducing that?
Well, okay. I kind of
She's a bit more flower. She seems more high-nosed, snooty.
Right, like not a girl from Cockney.
She's
okay.
Okay, I don't think she has that kind of grime.
I see a bit of what you're saying.
Yeah. But that's just on face value,
so far.
Yeah.
There's a part where Matthew says in France, so he's talking about the paperweight. That's a gun also. And of course they're illegal, right? So of course at this point Mickey mentioned the fact that guns are illegal, and Matthew says, in France, it's illegal to call a pig Napoleon, but just try and stop me. I found that really funny.
By the way, I also loved Matthew's sense of fashion in some of those scenes.
It was, okay.
In some of the scenes, not all of them. Yeah, in some of them, he was
looking sharp.
Yeah, I liked it. Yeah.
Some quotes by Dry Eye. A gentleman's quote is a gentleman's word. And ask no questions, hear no lies.
Hear no lies.
I also really love that line.
Yeah.
And lastly, by Mickey, this is not a discussion for the two of us. Unlike the salt and pepper, it's not on the table. I feel like I want to use that line, especially like salt and pepper, it's not on the table. I'm going to utilize it. And if you hear it, just let me go with my flow. Don't ask me questions. Yeah, let me utilize my lines.
Shine, girl. Shine.
And I think that's all we have for the gentleman. Do you have anything else?
Other than similar movies that are similar to The Gentleman, which I think there's a boatload. I think we covered some of them in another episode, another Guy Ritchie episode. So of course, there's Revolver for sure. There's Snatch. There's Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. Rock and Roller. There's Smoking Aces, which is in kind of like the same mold. And Gangster. Yeah, I'd throw in Goodfellas for sure. Because Goodfellas is like a really, really, really dope gangster movie. And it also has narration, Yeah, those would be the similar movies for me.
That you would suggest
I'd
for someone to watch?
Like if you enjoyed The Gentleman, you'd probably enjoy
these movies.
Those other ones. Yeah.
I'm trying to remember the movie about it's a real life story on a kid who started an online platform for selling drugs, and he was caught by the cyber
I don't think I've watched that.
Roy, might you know what it's called? A movie about a young man who starts selling drugs on the internet in uni. It's a true story about a guy who started a website in the States where they were selling everything from like hardcore drugs like heroin. They even said selling like guns. It's a dark web. It's a real life story. Silk Road. It's actually a real life story about a kid in the States who started a website where he started off just selling drugs, and it went haywire. People were selling. It was like and people were, I think they were paying him in Bitcoin.
Yeah, it was of the dark.
Right, yeah, they're paying in Bitcoin. Oh, no,
That's interesting.
yeah, really? Must have been. So I think try that. That would also be a great film to try. As you mentioned, a lot of Guy Ritchie. Guy Ritchie's work is brilliant. We discussed some of that in this. So please go check out the episode on that if you haven't already. Yeah. I think also just if you're looking at, Training Day, American Gangster, there's a wide array, as you said, a boatload of films surrounding this particular topic. And also try out A Man from U.N.C.L.E. as well.
Oh, yeah.
Try it out,
That's
right?
also a
Yeah,
good
try out
movie,
that
yeah.
film. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think those would be similar movies to suggest. Yeah. So movie recommendations. Do you have anything?
I think go first
I go first.
as I organize
Your thoughts.
my library.
So I'd like to suggest a short movie called Two Distant Strangers.
Oh, nice.
Academy Award winner for short film for the year 2020. This movie just breaks down the theme of the movie is racism in America, especially police brutality against young black male Americans. It's a trigger warning for that, especially now in the climate that's going on in the States, and the people who are empaths, people who are affected because their family members live there, also people who live there. So just take note of that. Joey Badass is actually the rapper who plays Carter in the movie. He's a rapper. I've realized I'm really enjoying an excellent rapper.
Excellent rapper.
Okay, man, a bad man.
Very young, started very young. Actually, if you look at his story, like he started I think at like 16. And he was very good for a long time. And I think he quit at some point. I don't know what his story is now, but yeah, he's a man of many talents. And as a rapper, he's like top tier.
Yeah.
Yeah. And especially in this new age rappers. Yeah.
And I also think his acting in that movie was really great. The theme of the movie was really great, but also he did a really great job acting in the film. It's about profiling. It's about police profiling. It's a white cop, a young black man who's just trying to get home to his dog.
Again, another dog.
Oh, Jeeta, another dog. And I really love, actually, that's a dog I want. That breed is what I want.
Yeah. Jeeta was
I think a pit bull, but I'm not too sure what type of what particular type of pit bull. So as I mentioned, the writer is Trayvon Free, who has written and won an award, an Emmy, for writing on The Daily Show. And he, of course, won the Academy for Best Short Film in 2021 for this movie, Two Distant Strangers. It's a 30-minute movie, and it's brilliant. I really, really enjoyed it. And also, it's taken from the theme of the Groundhog Day. So, a repetition of a day over and over again. Anything that you'd like to recommend?
I think my last recommend would be The Inside Man.
Oh, yes.
I think that's a dope movie.
That's a fantastic movie.
Say any more about it. I just think it's a brilliant movie, brilliant cast, brilliant story. Yeah, it's a very good movie.
It's a really good movie.
Yeah.
It's a really, really good movie. And then it also has the same thing for the thing said at the beginning is said at the end, isn't it? Yeah, same thing with The Gentleman.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, same line said at the beginning is said at the end. So yeah. Yay! Look at us, bestie. 1 season.
That's all, folks.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us on this ride. Oh, we love and appreciate you so, so much. I'm so proud of us for doing this thing. I'm so proud of, and I'm so happy about the team that we've done this with. I think it's not just the beauty of this season has not just been about us and the beauty that we've created the front of the camera, but it's also been about the team behind the camera, and we appreciate you guys so much. Thank you.
Shout out to Roy. Shout out to Jerusha. And Joro in absentia.
Yes, our
The
you can
Ronin
sell us
crew,
anything.
Ronin Productions.
And also Jazz.
Yeah, and also Jazz,
yes.
who made a special guest star
Guest
appearance.
yeah. So
yeah, but guys, Ronin Productions are the shit, man. Like,
Yes.
yeah, these guys are serious about what they do.
definitely.
And they have been a joy to work with,
Yes.
for sure.
And I'm sure it's going to
Professional
translate
and brilliant. Yeah.
into the work that you get to see before you.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for joining us.
Yeah, and I
Straight.
think I just special thanks to Roy again,
Yeah.
because I think when we were fumbling around with the idea, I think when we met Roy, it all came together.
Yeah.
And I think we had an aha moment. I think me and
Yeah.
Lucy just looked at each other and we were like,
yeah,
wait,
this is
we're
what we're
not
doing.
getting anyone else.
Yeah.
So yeah, shout out to Roy, man.
And also his
shout
voice
out
featuring.
to Adele for
Yes,
hooking us up,
for
because she's the
hooking
one
us
who,
up, yeah.
when I asked her, she told me, yeah, Roy. And he's the one who does my stuff, and I saw her stuff and it's good quality, and yeah. So yeah,
We're
thank
gonna
you
get
so
him
much.
to the front of the camera next season. Guys,
Yeah,
for
man.
sure. Thank you guys
the
so
hot seat.
much. I'm so glad we get to do this together.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I am.
I really am. And to many, many more, thank you for joining us on this journey, guys. We can't wait to see you guys, like the audience on the other end. And something's coming real soon where we'll get to meet and interact and, get to geek out together. But this has been an absolute pleasure. And again, in the comment section, let's talk. Subscribe, share this video, hit the notification bell. This is not the end. We will be coming to you with season 2 very soon. So give us all those recommendations you have that you want us to discuss. Yeah.
Help us make money, guys.
Please.
Thanks.
Yes. Love and light. Until the next one, guys. Bye.
Guys. On the Scene was filmed at Nyumba Cinema, located at Roslyn Riviera Mall. Give them a call for a cozy private experience at the movies.
On the Scene with Dush
And Goose.
a book club, but for movies.